Good morning, everybody. Welcome to session 2 of our AI webinar series, AI for Enterprise Engineering, where you can build faster, reduce cost, and improve quality. Our speaker today is Siva Kumar, who's going to be taking us through what that looks like with CEI DARTS. And throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, please go ahead and enter them into the Q&A module within your Teams chat. So that way, when we get to the Q&A session at the end, we can be sure to address all of your questions. But with that, I'll go ahead and hand it over to Siva, and he's going to walk us through DARTS. So over to you, sir.
Hey, thanks, Kyle. And hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm Shiva Sumuthukumar. I'm leading a DevOps practice here, and I'm serving as a principal architect at CEI for the last 18 years. So today we are going to talk about how AI is changing the enterprise engineering in very practical ways, and how our new offering, DARTS, help you build faster, reduce cost, and improve quality without losing control. So today I will walk you through what we are seeing in the market and how our AI native approach works. Then I will introduce DARTS offering with real examples. So first, we will ground ourselves in the market reality, what the enterprise teams are struggling with, and what's creating a delivery pressure, especially to adopt AI agents. And then we will look at the AI native approach, how agents fundamentally change engineering workflows. Next, I will show you DARTS in action with the real customer stories across feature development, legacy modernization, and automated testing. And finally, we will talk about the business impact and next steps if your organization wants to adopt this safely and quickly. So when we talk to engineering and the technology leaders, a few themes show up again and again. Right? The AI expectations are high. The boards and executives, they don't just want experiments, they want actual outcomes of using AI. And the timelines are compressed. The things that used to be multi-year project, those are now this quarter, preferably this month. And the budgets are getting tighter. Every technology dollar has to show a measurable return, and the talent remains constrained. You can't just hire your way to a 2x or 3x output. At the same time, the AI has entered the picture. So the developers and SDLC workflows, they are starting using AI. The tools like a Copilot or other AI code assistants, they accelerate the creation, but there is a gap. The AI accelerate the code creation or code generation, but the enterprise still lack secure, governed, and reliable way to transform AI generated output into compliant, secure, near production software at scale. So the gap is where exactly DARTS it. So this is not just a delivery pressure story. This is about needing a new engineering model where AI is not a gadget at the edge, but part of how you design, how you build, test, and govern software. So it has to be embedded across the SDLC lifecycle. So today we will see how the AI agents is helping you to across the SDLC to achieve the outcomes we want. So from our work and experience with large enterprise, we see three things you need in place to really benefit from AI and agents in engineering. So the agentic development model, that's very important. The AI agents partner with the developers. The AI agents work alongside your developers across the life cycle, from requirements to production. So instead of writing every line of code, the developers spend more time on architecture, business logic, and decisions, while AI agents handle repetitive implementation and analysis. And the SDLC is orchestrated with the AI backed in. Requirements, design, code, test, documentation, deployment, all of these can be supported or generated by AI-powered workflows. And we should not forget the security and quality governance. The governance has to be built in, not bolted on. You want like every output to follow your security control, regulatory requirements, and quality benchmarks automatically, not just through like manual reviews. That's the context for DARTS. So the DARTS has to a way of making this agentic, AI native governed model real inside your enterprise environments. So that's what like the organization need to succeed to bring AI and agents as part of like their engineering workflows. So what is DARTS? DARTS is like the multi-agent solution accelerators we have built, and it's a delivery model that transforms business specification into secure, validated, and compliant software. We designed it so that like the enterprise team can get benefits, so that like they can ship faster and ship right. The business requirements to secure code in hours, not like months or quarters. And then they can like modernize the legacy system with confidence. That's where like AI agent is like really helping to understand the legacy system and to modernize the legacy system in like more secure and faster way. And the quality and compliance built in, automated testing and security validation at the generation of the code itself. So this is like more consumable for enterprise. That way, like we package DARTS into three specific components that map to your biggest engineering needs. We will get to those in a moment. Now let's get specific, right? The DART is like really three components or like a three sub offerings. The number one is code to spec. So this offering is for like an organization with large legacy or like a undocumented systems. The AI agents analyze your existing code base, reverse engineer the business logic, data flows, and patterns, and generate like more modern structured documentation and specifications. It's ideal when you want to modernize or pass compliance audit or onboard new teams, but like nobody fully understand what the system does anymore. Now, the second offering is like a Spec-to-Code. So this is the offering like for future development and new solutions. So it take like the business requirement, user stories, or like functional specs. The DARTS agents can turn that into technical specification, technical design, and near production code, test, and documentation. It works for like both greenfield and brownfield development because it's a great fit if you want to accelerate delivery without like compromising quality or architecture. At the same time, it has like capability to bring your institutional knowledge as well, so that like the agents can work in the same way like how your team work or how your organization work. And the last offering is like the automated testing one. This offering is like focused fully on quality. So the Dart generate like comprehensive test suite, like a unit test, integration test, and end-to-end test from your requirements or from your existing code base. It also create like a edge cases, regression packs to catch issues earlier. It's ideal when release velocity is like increasing because AI agents are like creating more code now. It's ideal like when release velocity and the code are like increasing, but the coverage and confidence we have to like catch up. So this offering is like specifically to build those automated testing and quality so that like you have like more continuous delivery model to test the code AI is generating. So the three offerings are like how we bring DARTS into enterprise in a clear, usable way. So let me first show you like the basic flow of how DARTS worked in feature development. Your team provides like the business side, the requirements, user stories, process flows, and regulatory and compliance needs, and any architecture constraints. The DART agents do the heavy lifting. So we integrate like DART agents as part of your SDLC workflows. The DART agents will do analyze and structure the requirement, and it create like the specification from business specs to technical specs and generate the code based on the technical spec, create the test, enforce security and compliance rule, and generate documentation and traceability. So your team receives like a near production output, like more secure and validated code with like a test suite, tested code, documentation, and audit trail and security scan results. So this is like the core engine behind like all three offerings. Whether we are going from like a spec to code or code to spec or using DARTS purely for like a automated testing, it's a set of agents working in like a different personas or roles in your SDLC to achieve the results what you want. We have also built like the specialized and custom agents for like a role, tech stack, and process. So you can like have developer agent to do the development, and you can have like more front end and infrastructure developer agents to do the front end and infrastructure specific task. And if you want to like modernize COBOL to a new technology, we have like the COBOL agent that understands like the COBOL language. And we have like the process specific agents as well. So it can like take you through the modernization and migration process that like specifically having certain set of tasks to execute. So let me show that in the action here. So the DARTS agent, we have like this dot agent studio. And in this studio, you can like create a task. And then if you execute the task, it will go through the series of steps. It will do the gap analysis, spec generation, coding workflow, validation, deployment, and then like the feature testing. So let me play a video that would show like action in.
Click on the Build button to initiate the execution of the steps. DARTS begin its build process of the given requirement for the target framework. Gap analysis, spec generation, generate code, validate code, deployment, and feature testing are the 6 steps as a part of the DARTS build process. User can see the progress of the DARTS process at the task level, as well as at the step level. Step 1. Gap analysis is being done to analyze the requirements and generate the module structure for the given requirement. Gap analysis is done. Now, user can view or edit the output data. DARTS has produced the comprehensive gap analysis of the given requirement and suggested the modules to be generated for the given requirement. Each and every module has been clearly described with the features to be implemented to fulfill the requirement. User can carefully go through the requirement to make sure everything is in right place for the DARTS to proceed. Edit option has been provided in case user wants to edit the generated modules and features. Remember, poor edit leads to poor code generation. User can carefully edit the modules and features as required. As step 1 is awaiting approval, user has to approve to proceed to the next step, which is the spec generation. Based on the modules and features from step 1, DARTS thoroughly analyzes and generates the specification with the detailed tasks to be performed. For each feature, tasks will be generated, and similar to gap analysis, user will be provided an option to edit the output. As you see, DARTS has elaborated each feature into multiple tasks with its relevant description, with a plan to create the code in the chosen target framework. If everything is okay with all the generated content, user can approve the step 2 to proceed with the code generation and validation. Code generation and validation goes hand in hand. DARTS do not wait for an approval at the end of code generation. It will proceed with the validation and completes it. Code generation and validation are the complex steps which takes minutes to hours as per the provided requirement. Before proceeding to the deployment, DARTS will get the confirmation to proceed from the user to do the deployment. On proceed, DARTS will deploy the generated solution to the local environment which is configured as per the target framework. User can also skip the deployment and feature testing by choosing skip. Deployment has been successfully done in the target framework environment. User can confirm that from the view output data details by seeing published successfully with the version number. Before proceeding to the feature testing using auto aimfire, DARTS will get the confirmation to proceed. On approval to proceed, auto aimfire will perform the complete UI-based functional testing with the auto-generated scenarios. The test data will also be auto-generated with all due compliance. Scenarios are in scope to the generated tasks from the step 2. Auto aimfire is a playwright-based AI automation engine that executes scenarios in the browser.
Cool. So that's a short peek of like the demo of like our DARTS agent. So you can see like how DARTS agent is like taking the business requirement and do the gap analysis before it start like doing the coding and having like the coding and validation and deployment and testing in there. So these agents are like working in your SDLC workflows. We can like integrate with like your any technology stack or like any platform. So you can like have this dot agent embedded within your SDLC workflows to have this agentic development implemented. So now let's move to the other workflow. So the DOTS agents can help in like the legacy modernization as well. So let's say like you have the system built like 10, 15, 20 plus years ago. The many enterprise feel like the most pain in like the legacy systems, right? Because the system has like no documentation or like a less documentation, and no one remembers like what's the business logic, and there is like some pressure in modernizing those systems. So the DOTS agent reverse engineer the code base, whether it's like .NET, Java, Cold Fusion, Dynamics, or like some database related stuff. It can like extract business logic, data models, dependencies, architecture patterns, and complaints gaps, and turn that into modernization ready specification. Then you can modernize to whatever like the target framework using Spec-to-Code agents there. So that way, it will help you into the modernization more quickly, safely, and with like a confidence. So that's how like the DARTS legacy modernization workflow works. That's bringing like a code to spec and spec to code offerings together so that like you can modernize your legacy system into more modern frameworks. So looking across these implementation, we have done this implementation like a 50 plus engagement with the enterprise. So looking across these implementation, the business impact of the three dots offering is like pretty consistent. So we are seeing like around 40% lower delivery cost, less rework, fewer manual step, and like more reuse of like the agents and patterns there. And we are seeing like a 3 to 5x more throughput from the same team, not by like working harder, but by like shifting the work to agents, and 90% plus like first pass quality, because the dart agents have like a security testing and validation embedded. So whenever like the code is generated, it makes sure like the code generated is like secure and compliant. So for a CFO, this means like more output per dollar and fewer surprises, right? Because like we have the measurable, clear ROI in there. And for CTO, this means like the backlog finally starts shrinking, so they can focus on the higher value work, like a legacy modernization or like a bringing new features to the product. And for information security officer, it means like the continuous compliance and full audit trails, even though like the AI agents are like generating the code, you have like the continuous compliance and audit trail for your like security purposes. So let me walk you through like how we actually put together the engagement model to partner with you, because this is where like the dots becomes real. So on the left side, you can see like a discover. So this is like short, focused 1 to 2 week phase. So you can think as like a alignment. So we can like identify the engineering and business scenario and define like the success metrics and ROI targets, and map like where the dot agent can accelerate the delivery or bring value to your SDLC, so that like we can prioritize the high value use case. So you will get like the opportunity map, like where engineering and business come together and what are the areas we can like bring dot agents, and then like the prioritized use case for the proof of concept preparation. Then when it comes to the delivery, over 2 to 6 weeks, based on the use case, we embed like our dot agents directly into your SDLC workflow. It's not a lab, not a prototype. This is like your environment, your repository, and your use case. The agent generate like a secure code, test suite, documentation, and validation report. So every output is like checked against your architecture patterns and compliance rule. So at the end of delivery phase, you will get like the working proof of value with all the artifacts and the measured ROI versus baseline and the recommendation for scale. Finally, on the right side, you see scale. So this is where like the agentic development model or delivery model becomes sustainable inside your organization. So we are building like a center of excellence around agentic delivery, and we make sure like the sustained delivery acceleration is happening using agents in your organization there. So you will receive at the end like the enterprise adoption and modernization roadmap and multiple DARTS powered delivery solutions. So the key idea here is like the discover gives clarity and delivery gives like a proof, and the scale gives like the true transformation for your enterprise. So let's like look at a couple of real example use case. So the DARTS Spec-to-Code in action. So we have like the hospitality management software built on Dynamics 365 Business Central. So it need to like roll out new feature across PMS, POS, and housekeeping modules quickly. So to support like a evolving hotel and resort needs. The traditional development cycles just couldn't keep up. When we have like put together our .spec-to-code agent, it took their like functional specs and turned them directly into Dynamics AL code and extension and integrations. So that way, it kept like everything upgrade safe and aligned with the Microsoft Business Central patterns. So the result, around like 4 months worth of work was delivered in like 4 weeks. And feature delivery was like about 60% faster. And we had like the business spec fidelity ensured everything is like implemented with like a structured generation and rapid validation loops. And zero technical debt because it's like fully upgrade safe Dynamics extension. So that's how like the dot spec to code brings the result in like a real world use cases. Now a very different scenario, this time like with the code to spec offering. A healthcare provider, they had like a 15-year-old patient management system with like no documentation, original developers like long gone, over like 500K line of code, and an upcoming complaints audit. The modernization was like blocked because no one fully understood what the system actually did. With the DARTS code to spec agent, the agents analyzed the entire code base, pulled out the business logic and data flows, and mapped the functionality to regulatory requirements, and generated comprehensive technical and compliance documentation. So the outcome, there is like 90% reduction in documentation time, and we identified like a critical complaint gaps, and the agents helped to enable the modernization project to proceed with the confidence. So that's a kind of like a benefit the code to spec bringing in like a real world. The third offering, like automated testing, that is like illustrated well with this e-commerce client. So they were like scaling fast, and they have like a manual testing that couldn't like keep up. The test coverage dropped from 80% to like 45%. So with like a DARTS automated testing agents, and we have like the playwright. So the agents are like analyze the requirement, generated like a unit test integration and end-to-end test, and continuously updated the test as like the code evolved. So in few weeks, we were able to like increase the code coverage to 92% and make sure like we were able to do that faster, and the production defects down like 67% within first quarter as like the entire quality automation is like implemented. So that's the kind of impact the testing offering is like designed for. So now, why CEI? What makes like CEI and DARTS different? Is that like we have been delivering the complex solutions for like over 30 years. And we have like already run like 50 plus CEI engagement in enterprises. And we understand like the messy realities of legacy, modernization, regulation, and organizational change. So the DARTS is like a build and refined inside this environment. So when we bring it to you, it's already aligned with like enterprise constraint. So we have like a proven across 50 plus Fortune 500 deployments. The Dart agents are like bringing the benefits on code generation, test generation, and embedded within their SDLC workflows. And also, we are building like a specialized agents for SDLC and for like specific tech stack and for like specific process. And this one is like built for enterprise complexity. So we are like having the enterprise governance and the legacy modernization, the regulatory complaints, everything in mind when we have like designed these agents. And the automated governance is like at every step. The security and compliance are like validated during the code generation itself with like complete audit trails. So having all these like benefits, that's how like we are bringing the darts to help like our clients achieve uncommon success through the agents. So if any of the three offerings like resonate, code to spec for legacy modernization and spec to code for like a feature development or automated testing, the easiest next step is like to schedule the darts spec to code assessment. So in this assessment, we will identify where this DARTS agent can help most and how we can like transform your enterprise using the AI agentic methodology to embed within your like SDLC lifecycle and proof of value. From there, we can decide like how we can like scale the solution more broadly or how we can like implement this agentic solution more broadly within your enterprise. So I will pause here and open it up for any questions.
Excellent. Thank you, Siva. Really appreciate you walking through that. I know we only have a few minutes, so want to try to get to as many questions as we can. We did have one come in that asks, in cases where the validation testing activities are primarily back-end, do you change the QA tooling away from Playwright to another tool?
Yeah, our agents are like the platform agnostic and the tech stack agnostic. So if any like the backend specific testing other than like the Playwright, we would be like integrating those tools and extension and make it like work with the agents. Playwright is like more common one, but we are like supporting Selenium and other tools to bring it to work with like the agents.
Great, thank you. And then another one that came in, how does your spec-to-code automation handle complexity in our requirements, and how do you prevent quality or compliance issues as code is generated?
Yeah. So it's a two part of the question, right? So the complexity on like the spec generation. So we have like the spec to code. It's not like a one process like input and output. So when we are like giving the business specification, our spec agents is like analyzing the requirements thoroughly, and it also asks the question back to the human, right? So it's asking like your business analyst, it's asking like your domain experts, like what are all the gaps in those requirements, and if there are like any gaps or any questions, it will have that human loop so that like in that review, it would be like more structured specification to generate the code, right? And in the second part of the question, where like in the generated code, we have like the individual modules or individual components. So each component has like the validation and the quality rules also like embedded. So whenever like it's generating the development of the code, it like make sure the quality and the validation is happening like a side along, right?
Great. Thank you, Siva. And I know we have run up on time. So folks, if there were any questions in the Q&A that we did not get to, we do have them captured here. So we'll be sure to follow up with you and get those questions answered. But Siva, thank you so much for walking through that. And if you wouldn't mind flipping to the last slide, if anyone here is interested in DARTS or would like more information and is interested in how this could work for your organization, please feel free to contact me directly. You can see my email right there. It's just kbrand@ceiamerica.com, or you can also reach out to us through the website through our request to consultation button. Or if you have any relationship or direct contact with your CEI rep, you of course can reach out to them too. But if you don't know, here's my information right there. So truly appreciate everyone's time and for dialing in today. Thank you so much for attending, and we hope you all have a fantastic day. And thank you again, Siva, for the great job. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone.